We are here to review the FA Cup quarter-final between Manchester United and Leicester City. Today, obviously, I'm joined by two very special guests here today. I'm joined by, to the right of me, I'm joined by Mr. Greg Chambers, and below, I'm joined by, so what, Mr. Bits and Bobs from the Football Terrace, and also his Bits and Bobs channel on YouTube as well. I've always been speaking to these two guys on Bits and Bob's live watch along. We watched the live game, and do check out Bits and Bob's channel if you want to go back and kind of watch us break down the game. Do check that out. But anyway, I suppose first things first, gonna come to you, Bob's, with relation to the game. Obviously, 3-1 loss. Another trophy. Looks like we're not gonna have a chance at this season, the FA Cup. Leicester City massively dominated the game, midfield battle. We lost, I'd say, every individual battle on the pitch. Looks like we lost today. We were second best to more or less everything today. Kind of how are you feeling about the game? Kind of considering it's only a couple of hours after. Have you had time to reflect? Kind of how are you feeling?
Do you know what? I'm very fortunate that I can call you guys friends now, and we have a great passion for Man United, and I think today we lost our passion because what we watched today was atrocious. It was garbage. It was rubbish. It was horrible. And for respect for your channel, Keen, I'm not going to swear. I'm just going to say it wasn't even just a bad day at the office. It was, my eyes were bleeding. What we were watching, internationalists calling themselves competent footballers, struggling to pass the ball, struggling to run. None of them showed any want or will to compete or to even want to do something positive. I feel some of the players, obviously the fitness levels of Pogba, what can you do? He's played on the left as well. There's so many debates back and forth where to play him. Donny van de Beek, the way we play, or we want our number 10 to play, Donny van de Beek doesn't play like that. He plays like a second striker, the way Frank Lampard played, Dele Alli, But the thing for him to play that, we need a striker for him to do that. We also need to play a certain way. I'm just gutting because obviously you can imagine with Man United, we're going to get pelters. It's a competition we're out. We can't win. Do you know what I mean? We didn't even get to the semis this time. So regarding this competition,
at least we don't have that caveat there that we choked in the semi-final. We choked at a quarter. So I think that caveat is there, in that regard. But I completely agree. I think we were just second best to absolutely everything today. I think midfield we got massively dominated. Matic and Fred got absolutely rinsed. And Diddy and Tielemans just tore him to shreds. And I think we were just lethargic, slow. I think probably the only standout performer I'd probably say that was a player that was any bit decent today was probably Alex Telles. I think Telles played quite well, from a defensive point of view. I think he makes some crucial interceptions. He tried to get forward a couple of times. I thought he was quite okay there, but even then, I wouldn't say he was those spectacular or extraordinary. I think he had an average performance, which looked leaps and bounds in front of kind of other players in the team. In terms of this, obviously there was a lot of talk before the game. We had our own preview before the game today. Greg was on the preview, and we had a back and forth to a few of us about Nemanja Matic playing, about Fred playing, about Paul Pogba starting. For yourself, when you look at the two holding midfield players today, especially, how do you feel about their performance today? Let's come to you first there, Bob's, on that there.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you said Greg. That's what I'm saying. Do you know, Keane? It's the team, right? The team's good enough to beat them. Okay, if we go player for player, they should be good enough to compete. We've got Ndidi playing one position. on his own. We've got two players doing what indeed he was doing. You know, we've got Donny van de Beek that looked like he'd never kicked a ball in his life. You know, just short of confidence. We've got a striker up front who is probably having an identity crisis with himself. Doesn't know whether he's a left winger or he's a centre forward. You know, he probably doesn't even know what day it is. And to top that off, we've got a manager who, for me, has reached his ceiling. He's reached his ceiling. And that's not a dig at him, because I think he's done all he can. You know, the ship has sailed now. You know, he's steadied it. We've gone. Now it's time for him to get a little dinghy and just sit off, mate, because I'm so angry, by the way. Like, literally, I'm fuming with today's result. Like, to the point where, like, I don't like this club anymore. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and oh no, Greg, you go in, man, because like I'm just no, seriously,
Greg. Greg, what are your overall thoughts in the game? And like, we obviously all three of us are on the same watch along earlier on. We had all different kind of opinions on the game, and like, obviously time can, I suppose people can talk about time heals situations and stuff like that, but obviously there's been very little time between now and the game. Kind of how are you feeling about the overall performance? What are your overall feelings?
Well, we were absolutely awful. I'd say we were second best, but that would be being really nice and being quite harsh to the stewards, because they probably moved more than half of our midfield, and certainly more than Martial. We were atrocious from front to back. No one could say they had a decent game. Fred and Matic, in terms of footballers, are not good enough to be footballers at Manchester United. That doesn't mean they merit personal abuse. Like, the personal abuse that Fred's got over the last couple of hours is disgusting, and that's horrible.
Yeah, absolutely sick, absolutely disgusting.
No player should ever be given personal abuse because of a mistake they made on a football pitch. But in terms of playing for Man United, those two players are not good enough to play for Manchester United. There was no control in the pitch, and Bob's is absolutely right. He dominated that game because he could do it by himself. We need a player that can do that by himself. Donny van de Beek genuinely might be one of the most overrated signings I've ever witnessed for Man United. Everyone, when he signed, was like, oh, he's going to come in, he's going to be amazing. He's awful. He's atrocious. He stands still. He backs into the defender. He gets in Greenwood's way. He walks around. He doesn't press. He is atrocious. And if he wants to leave in the summer, then he can go. Like, I've not got, and same with Martial, players that don't want to run around for this football team, at least that's got to be the bare minimum, that you try and you have effort. But it was awful. The minute Bruno came on, everyone started to press. It was like a teacher coming into a classroom when you're all pissing about. And suddenly you just, you will work hard now. Bruno's on the pitch. We were 2-1 down, and then we were 3-1 down within 2 minutes. It was awful. We were honestly atrocious. And the buck stops with Solskjaer. He picked the team. He sets them up. We concede set pieces every single week. There's been no improvement. We can't beat a team that's got a low block. We've not been able to do that for 2 years. There's clearly something wrong in that backroom staff. There's something not being coached or something not going through to the players. And then Ollie, to top it off, to come out and just say we were tired. Players don't play like that when they're tired.
Wait. Is that what did I don't even listen to him anymore. What did he come out and say?
He came out and said, we played midweek, we were tired, we just lacked that spark. We lacked anything.
So did Arsenal. No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that at all.
Spurs right now are 1-0 up on Aston Villa, having been at the lowest of lows on Thursday, and they're actually trying. They're playing hard. They're running. They're running for a manager they hate. Arsenal were 3-0 down, got back to 3-3. We've got apparently one of the most likeable guys in the league in terms of football management, and he can't get 11 guys to run around a pitch for him. Like, the buck stops with him. If he doesn't win that trophy, if he does not win the Europa League, he has to go. Like,
he has to walk, yeah.
He has to. And he has to walk before he's pushed, because what he's risking now, he's risking on a fan base turning on him, and a lot of a fan base that have kept with him now for 18 months and stayed with him and going, no, there's progress. All of that progress went out the door in that 90 minutes because he didn't even have the team playing for him there. That looked like a team that had down tools. They expected to go out there and just win, and they were awful. That was the worst, man. That was reminiscent of the performances after he got the contract a couple of years ago, when we couldn't beat anyone Like, we couldn't beat Cardiff, couldn't beat Huddersfield. That's how bad that performance was tonight. And
was
Leicester
very
are a great
reminiscent.
side, but they bossed it. Yeah.
It was very reminiscent of the Everton 4-0 game at Goodison Park. Like, I was thinking about this just before we went live, and I was sitting here thinking, it was very reminiscent of that day. I know we scored today, but it was very reminiscent of that because, like, the players, like, okay, some of them did look leggy, right? Fair enough, right? You played Thursday night. Some of them look leggy, but that's not an excuse. Other teams have gone out and they've obviously, they've played midweek and they've obviously
at the end
put
of
in
the day,
more of a
it's their
shift.
fucking job. They get paid £150,000 a week to run a bit of football park. They should be able to do it twice in 4 days. Like,
exactly.
It's their job. I'm fed up with it. Oh, they're tired. Brilliant. I'd be tired as well, but you're getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds. You've got to at least put effort in.
Lads, have you not been on a night out the night before work or on a school night and you still put it in? Do you know what I mean?
I went into college every Thursday hungover last year.
Yeah, you still rock up and do your job.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely. But, like, looking at the game, like when you look at individual performances today, I think there's a lot of individuals today who really underperformed. Like, I think when you look at the performances of, I think especially our spine, the spine of the team really underperformed today. You look at the two centre backs. I think Lindelof probably didn't play as bad as Maguire, but Lindelof didn't do himself any favours. Maguire played very, very poor today. He looked like Harry Maguire from the start of the season today. Matic and Fred, we've already elaborated on it. I think it was probably both of their worst games in the Manchester United shirt since they both signed for the club in the last 2 seasons. Mattelli just after going off of the Spurs game. Must get that back on.
Penalty.
It's penalty, guys.
That's the reason why Mattelli went off, I'd say, because Spurs got a penalty.
I'm off. I'll send you guys a message. Keen, I'll send you a WhatsApp. Always good to talk to you guys, but I need to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, sure, Bobs. Good luck.
But, I'll set up a group chat for us, actually. Probably be a lot easier.
Go for that.
Yeah,
go for it.
Yeah, no problem.
Speak to you soon, guys.
No worries, Bobs. Enjoy your show. Yeah. Cheers, pal. Yeah, like as I was saying, like, it was very kind of reminiscent of Everton at Goodison Park in 2019. Like, it was very lethargic. It was slow. And I think the spine of our team today really underperformed. Again, like the two centre backs really underperformed. I thought they were very slow, lethargic. Midfield non-existent. Even like Paul Pogba was playing wide left, but he had to kind of come in centrally deep to get the ball. But then there was gaps to attack.
He was doing Donny's job. Like, Van de Beek's meant to be this amazing Champions League midfielder. People are still, every time I mention Van de Beek on Twitter, people come at me, well, he played great in the Champions League. That was 2 years ago for Ajax. Like, we're now 24 months, if not more than that, on from those games against Real Madrid. Like, everyone can have a good game. Like, that's possible. Like, players can have good games or a spell of good games, but Pogba had to do all the work that Donny was meant to do today, and it just took everything out of the game.
Coming off today, do you see him when Paul Pogba came off today? He was knackered.
Yeah, he was absolutely dying. Of course, he had to come off after 60 minutes. He was doing like double the work of what he had to do because he was doing Donny's job as well. But there was just nothing there, and like, people can say, "Oh, we're missing Rashford." Rashford's a 23-year-old guy. We can't rely on Marcus Rashford to just pull us out all the time, or Bruno should have started. Yeah, Bruno probably should have started, but Donny van de Beek cost a lot of money. He's played at a big team and in big competitions. He should be able to at least run and make an effort and show that he wants to play at this level. Because right now it's looking like he probably should have just stuck in the Eredivisie because he's been awful.
Yeah, I think
I saw a stat earlier as well. Maguire had 33% of our shots on target today. He had more shots on target than any other outfield player. Like,
when you actually look at the overall attacking play today, I think like we had 5 shots on target today, and one of them was a Harry Maguire header that kind of went nowhere really.
Yep.
You had the Bruno's free kick. You had I'm trying to even remember, like, it was
the Greenwood goal. You had the Fred technically Fred's
obviously
cross thing was on target.
Like, I think when we look at that, like, but the spine, like, up
and
front,
Pogba's,
yeah. But like,
Pogba
you look at it, like the attacking play was so poor. We were poor all over the pitch. And And the thing about it is we rotated today, and that's the thing about, like, I don't know how Ollie can bring tiredness into this when we rotated today. Like Alex Telles comes in, Matic and Fred, like Matic comes in. I know Fred started during the week, but Donny came in. Pogba didn't start the other day.
Martial.
So Martial didn't play. So like when you talk about tiredness, like I don't know if that plays a factor. I don't know if that's an appropriate excuse. Like I don't think it is. I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I don't think that's an excuse that you can use today. I have to be constructive with this. I'm not going to go out and scream Ollie out or anything like that. But what I will say is that, like, you can't use tiredness as an excuse today, because like you rotated the team, and when you consider as well, Leicester have injuries too. Let's get this straight. They have a lot of first-team injuries. Like when you look at some of the players that were playing today, they're not first-team players for Leicester either. So like credit where it's due with them, they were the better team today. I think
they were brilliant.
We can talk about individual performances on our side, and we can talk about certain players underperforming, right? That's okay, and that's fair enough. But we can't give Leicester any disrespect, because they did play well. I thought Ndidi and Tielemans in the field done a lot to stifle us. I thought they'd done very well. I thought the two centre backs played really well for him today.
Soyuncu and Fofana. Soyuncu should not be allowed to run 70 yards though unchallenged from.
Absolutely. I agree. But I agree. But
Leicester were brilliant, but Man United made it so easy. Yeah, we just made it far too easy. I just don't understand, because the last 20 minutes of that Milan game, while it wasn't pretty, we made it difficult for a team that were trying to push for a goal. And it was like all of that work just went out the window. And Ollie can complain about tiredness all he wants, but for the last 2 years, we've played Thursday, Sunday. So if he knew his team was going to be tired, rotate more. Like, surely that should be a factor. Surely you know the day before, or when you do your last training session the night before, coming into a big game like this, you know who's going to be fit, who's going to be feeling it, who's going to need a rest and things like that. But it can't be an excuse. We played Thursday, Sunday pretty much since the start of the year. We played it all of last year, up until the semi-finals. So tiredness can't be an excuse anymore. Like, it's just not. And to come out and just be, we were tired, we lacked a spark. We lacked everything. We lacked drive. It was spineless. It was horrible to watch. Like, you couldn't pay me to go and watch that game back. Normally I watch every Man United game, win, loss, draw, back. I'm not watching that back. That was horrendous. That will stick in my mind for a long time, because it was awful. There was no one there that could honestly say, like, Shaw and Fernandes, when they came on, were the best two players. They played half an hour at 3-1 down. Like, I don't get why those changes were made at 2-1 in 60 minutes rather than at 1-1 when they could influence the game at half-time. What does the 15 minutes do? Like, how much more tired are those players that come on going to be? Then when he brought the changes on, he didn't change the shape. So Leicester didn't have to change anything, because we were still just playing diagonal balls over the top to Martial, or trying to just get something like a random long shot or something like that. Leicester dominated that formation. And that's where I think Ollie really needs to look at himself, because it's his job to tactically outdo other managers. And he seems to have two formations that he can do. And that's like the diamond and the 4-2-3-1. Leicester dominated us today. Why didn't he change it up? Why didn't he put another man up top? Why, when Cavani and Martial were on, why didn't he go with the two up front and give each of their centre-backs someone to occupy? Make it a bit hard. Make them think. Like, I'm not a football man. There's football fans that see this. So surely someone at the game that's worked with these players all the time should be able to see that Leicester were dominating that, and the 4 personnel changes weren't going to make a difference, because we weren't bringing on Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, players of that quality. We were bringing on Fernandes, who's absolutely brilliant. Shaw's had a fantastic season, but not best left back in the world good in terms of a season. Like, he's been great. But they dominated the formation. They didn't dominate just the players. That's why things need to change.
Yeah, and like, look, it's come to Mike Smalling's comment here. I don't know if that's a parody account or that's throwback to Louis van Gaal. It says, personally, I think the starting team was wrong. Shaw Fernandes had to start. They've been a massive part of us being where we are in the league. I disagree with Telles starting today, or Bruno getting a rest. I need to make that clear, because I talked about it on the preview show. Like, them two deserved a rest today. You'd think you'd have enough, in like Telles, and Van de Beek, who are two players who came in for transfer fees this summer to be good enough to play against Leicester, especially the fact they had injuries. So, like, I look at the starting team. Like, now you're going to see certain people on Twitter who I'm not going to name them because I'm not going to get into a war. But like, there's certain people on Twitter who would be crying why Dan James didn't start today. There'd be certain people crying, this is they won't pinpoint the Man U match. They won't pinpoint certain players because they have their favorites. But like, this was an overall. Like, you can't just say we didn't start Dan James today, that's why we didn't press. Like, the thing about this is we have to be clear here. This was an overall collective calamity. Like, in terms of this, from the players to the coaching staff to the manager, like, today it was all around a shit show. And like, no one's getting away with it today. Like, too many people I've seen, like, you see it on your Twitter timeline, you see it on various different platforms. Too many people will just go and say the manager straight away. And they won't look at other players' performances, but they'll say, right, it's just the manager. But you have to look at this and say, yes, the manager is accountable, but there's certain players there who are professionals who are also accountable. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, when you look man for man, you've just said it there, we should be beating them. Bits and Bob said it, we should be beating them. That's absolutely right. You look at the back four, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, and Telles. On paper, that's a better back four than probably what Leicester's is. But Leicester are more organised, they're more cohesive.
Exactly.
Leicester did have a better midfield there today. I think, like, if you look at midfield three, I
would argue Donny van de Beek should be better than Ayoze Perez. Ayoze Perez doesn't do anything.
He should be better than Ayoze Perez, but in terms of the two sitters.
Yes, the two sitting, absolutely. Much better.
But then when you look at the other positions, like, arguably an unformed Martial would be up there with a Vardy. Greenwood would be up there with who was the other attacker for them? Say Iheanacho. Greenwood would be up there with Iheanacho. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Paul Pogba is better than any player who was on that football pitch in terms of individual quality. Yeah. So, like, there was enough individual quality in this team to win this game, but unfortunately, no one turned up today. I think this, like, people can say tiredness again, but I'm going to look at this and I have to say, there was players rested. That we can't use tiredness as an excuse. Yeah, Leicester were the better team today. I think from top to bottom, they won all the second balls. They were more street smart. They chose when to go forward. They chose when to sit back and be compact. I think you have to look at it and say Brendan Rodgers set his team up to win this game perfectly. He went going with the three at the back, the two progressive fullbacks going forward, and obviously having a fluid front three. Like, I think maybe we could have went two strikers at the end of the game to maybe occupy two centre-backs to have a bit more movement. That probably could have changed it. But I don't think, when you look at it, I don't think our midfield is probably capable to take the game by the scruff of the neck. And this is something that, look, we've talked about.
Yeah, the changes don't need to be made at 2-1 down. Make the changes at 1-1 when they've got a chance to influence the game. Otherwise, you're asking players to come on and do something that's very difficult. You're bringing on Bruno Fernandes and expecting him to score twice? Our team haven't looked like scoring all day. I don't know how we managed to score in the first half, honestly. I think that must be the first proper chance we created.
Individual brilliance from Pogba and Van de Beek there, though. That was just a moment of kind of magic. Van de Beek's dummy to Greenwood. That was very, like, I know Donny didn't play the best today, but I thought that was a good moment from Donny in terms of, like,
it's a good football brain, which he quite clearly has, but he needs to tell his feet that and get in a position for it. Like, it's all well and good being like 2 yards quicker in your head, but if you're not in the right position to do anything about it, then it's pointless. Like, the dummy was brilliant. Obviously, Pogba, like, the work to get the ball into the box was really good, and Greenwood, I'm quite happy. That's the one positive. Greenwood got a goal, I suppose. It's nice to see him score. I always like seeing Greenwood score. More goals, more confidence for him. But if there was any Man United player that was genuinely happy with their performance, they should look themselves in the mirror after today, because there was nothing there. And you're absolutely right. Leicester bossed it. Leicester's midfield today showed exactly what Man United need to be. And I don't know if Man United can get to that state playing like that. Obviously, not possible with the players that we've got just now. Fred and Matt, it's just simply, they're not good enough to sort of fill that. And you are playing two players to do one position, as indeed he proved today, because one player can play that position as long as they're good enough and comfortable enough on the ball.
I think that this goes back to the point that we've talked about on this channel for so long, and I feel like since look, we're nearly the channel, we're coming up towards 1 year of the weekly armchair kickoff, and we're talking about this same point with nearly 12 months. Manchester United need to invest in a defensive midfield player.
Yeah,
we're still talking about this 12 months on. The football club need to get a defensive midfield player in who can play in that role to help dictate the game.
Yeah,
because again, you're playing two sitting midfielders in Fred Matic or Fred McTominay. You don't take the impetus in a game when you play them two. You need a sitting midfielder, and then you need to have a Pogba and Fernandes in more progressive midfield positions. Mm-hmm. Every top team in the league plays 4-3-3. Yep. No top team in the league plays 4-2-3-1. Name me one team that's in the top four that plays 4-2-3-1. None of them.
None. Not even West Ham.
They all play 4-3-3. Or Leicester played the formation they played today. They played that the odd time. They had to play that because of injuries, but Leicester normally play 4-3-3. With obviously Ndidi, Maddison, and Tielemans in midfield. So I think when you actually look at this, the system is coming to our detriment at the moment. The thing about it is, I'd say Ollie probably wants a defensive midfield player. I think any manager would want a defensive midfield player. But is the board going to?
Yeah. But obviously got.
I look at this. Do the board support him with a defensive midfield player? Will the board support him with the players that he needs? I don't think so.
But what he wanted last year is what Grealish, and yet Grealish should have been brilliant, but he wasn't what we needed. So he got Van de Beek instead. But surely a manager that knows his team and knows where Man United have been at fault for the last year is defensive midfield. So surely you have the balls to turn around and say, I don't want him. I want a defensive midfield player. Surely, even at Man United, with the little power that they have, and obviously it's up to Matt Judge and Ed Woodward, surely even the manager at that point at this club can turn around and say, no, why would he doesn't fill a hole that I need? Because Donny doesn't. We didn't need rotation for Bruno.
No manager. But the thing about it is, Greg, and this is the thing, in the last 7 years, no manager has had control of transfers. Moyes didn't have control. Van Gaal didn't have control. Jose Mourinho didn't have control. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't have control. And this is the thing, this is coming down to recruitment in terms of the way our recruitment structure has. We'd never get our first choice targets. It's quite known. Every manager that's been at the club since Sir Alex, they've all said it. We've got our third or fourth choice players. We never got our standout targets. That's obviously not an excuse for losing today's game of football, but when you look at it with a long-term point of view, in terms of having a team who can sustain a challenge at the top level, our recruitment needs to be so much better. In certain positions in the pitch, we have a lot of great attacking talent, but if you don't have the players who can get the ball to them behind them, in terms of from the holding midfield position and from having competent centre backs to get the ball out from the back, you're not going to have the right players to build a good spine. Because any good team in the Premier League needs a good spine, and I don't think we have that at the minute. I think we've a very good striker in Mason Greenwood or Edison Cavani and Martial. We've a very good, but not best in class, but very good. You have a world class number 10 in Bruno Fernandes. You have a world class number 8 in Paul Pogba. You've all average, below average number 6 players at the club. You've average centre backs, and you have a great goalkeeper in Dean Henderson. His spine isn't there.
I think Maguire is an elite centre back. He just needs the player to play alongside him. Maguire's England captain. He's not England captain, sorry, he's England international. He is Man United captain. He's played a lot for England. It's more than just sort of he plays for Man United, that's why he plays for England sort of thing. I think Maguire is good, but you need the right partner with him. I thought Lindelof has been good, but again, Lindelof and Maguire are really similar.
You need best in class. I was going to come to Michael Morrissey's comment here. He says, are they going to go spend their money, or are they struggling to spend money? Well, I'm just going to be honest with you now.
They won't spend.
It's not struggling to spend money, right? I'm going to be clear with this.
No.
The Glazers will not spend their money. There's no struggle there. The struggle is for the Manchester United fans to cope with the bullshit that our owners have, right? That's where the struggle is. But I think the only way this football club spend money, I see Villa have a corner. Are they going to do anything with it? No. This football club is not the money's there. Because we're the most profitable club in England at the moment, right? That's well known. The money's there. It's just the people above don't want to spend the money to help us reach the top. They're content with getting the top 4 and getting the Champions League revenue, and then that's it. You look at all the managers post Sir Alex Ferguson, right? If you actually look back at every summer post Sir Alex Ferguson, the only time United went out and spent appropriately on the team was when we finished outside the top 4 to get us back into the top 4. So this is the thing. This is a recurring theme at the club, and it's not going to change until them bastards get out, but they're not going to get out because we're too much of a cash cow for them. I know this is not meant to be a Glazers out show or anything like this, but when you look and you assess the whole situation of our football club, it comes down again, like it's rinse and repeat. Like this is what I worry. Like the thing about it is I want Ollie to succeed at this football club because he's the only manager we've had post Sir Alex Ferguson that genuinely cares about the football club and kind of what happens. You'd like to think that. But ultimately the manager is going to pay the price and he's going to be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Because who comes in? Like the thing about this is he's going to finish top 4 this season and then the board won't back him in the summer.
Nope.
I'm calling this now. Like, if we get second place, this is the thing, Greg, and I can see this coming from a mile away. We're going to finish in the top 4. We'll probably get second place this season. We might win the Europa League because look at the competition in it. I think, like, you look at the competition that's in the Europa League, Leicester City are probably better than all the teams that are in. I know Slavia Prague knocked them up. That was a bit of a freak result, to be fair. Like, I think that's a freak result. I don't think they're better than Leicester City. I think Leicester City are a better team than them. You look at every team in that Europa League, probably bar Arsenal, who are be a threat, and I'm being kind with that because United in the last recent years have had trouble beating Arsenal. But like
they set up well with stifle us.
Yeah, but when you look at the rest of them teams in Europa League, you'd like to think United are probably strong favourites. We'd probably have a very good chance, and we have a favourable draw in Granada in the next round. So you probably think, like, you look at that, United probably have a very good chance to win the trophy this year. Obviously, the FA Cup's out the window now. So, like, even the thing about this is, Greg, and I'm going to say this now, and I've said it. I've said it. I say it once, and I say it again. If he gets second place, the board will be content with that. This team is good enough to get into the top 4. They will not spend the money to make the next step, to challenge for a title, to challenge for a Champions League, to do any of these things, to challenge for every trophy, like Manchester City are doing. Like Liverpool, I know Liverpool aren't doing it this year, but they're doing it in previous seasons. Yeah, and you'd like to think Liverpool. Well, I don't like to think, but you know Liverpool are probably going to come back stronger next season. Like they'll probably come back stronger next season. Van Dijk will be back. They'll probably get a couple of players in. Gomez will be back. They'll probably strengthen their squad to some degree. Like you look at this, and you look at this from an overall perspective. Manchester United, I worry next season. Yeah, I worry next season if we finish second. Not because second isn't good enough. I think second is a clear sign of progression for the squad. I think it is. And Dylan Donnelly said this in the group chat. I think, and he said it on Twitter as well. Ollie has done great with the squad that he has, and second is probably his ceiling. But this is where the board need to back him with transfers to get to that next level, to be challenging, to be competent, and win games like you win today. Yeah, I think like when you look at this, Greg, and this is very, very important. I think this is very important, and people need to realize this. You can get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in there. You can get Jose Mourinho in there. You can get Julian Nagelsmann, Maurizio Pochettino. All like, Ole probably isn't an elite coach. But all these other people I just mentioned are in the elite level. You can get any of these managers in, right? And their ceilings will be second place. I'm going to be honest, with the current squad we have, the ceiling with any of these managers will be second. Once any manager that's in this football club achieves top 4, the board won't back him. No. They won't do anything. They won't do anything else, to progress the football club. I think this is where everyone needs to wake up and smell the coffee. Whether you're Ollie in, Ollie out, shake it all about, whatever you want to do. And this is the thing: the fan base is divided, and like it sickens me because yes, everyone has a right to an opinion. And look, that's football. I have an opinion. Like I had an opinion today on a player, and Greg didn't agree. We had a discussion about it, and that's fair enough. But you have to look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is this: as long as the Glazers are at this football club, as long as this ownership is there, post Sir Alex Ferguson, top 4 and second place is our ceiling.
Yeah.
That's our ceiling at the moment. No, regardless of what manager is there. The proof's in the pudding. Jose Mourinho finished second. The board didn't back him. Now, I didn't agree with some of the signings in terms of Jerome Boateng and other players. I didn't agree with that. I could see why Ed Woodward didn't sign them players, but at the same time, if you gave a manager a new contract like they're giving Ollie, you back the manager. Yeah. Like, this is the thing. Like, the board are on about giving Ollie a 3-year contract on $9 million a year, right? Look, whether you agree with that or not, that's a different story, right? But if you get a manager in on that contract, you need to back the manager on that contract.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Like anyone, if you give someone a promotion in work or any line of work, whatever job it is, you put the trust in that person to better your business and to do a good job. And you give the person that tools to do that job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you don't give the person the tools to the job, that person's either A, going to down tools, or B, failing their job. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the Glazers are, and you're completely right, the Glazers are only interested in finishing top 4 as long as they can sort of pay Gronkowski and Brady's wages for the Buccaneers, and they can take out their own money to take out money from Man United to benefit themselves. Personally, that's really all they're interested in. And yeah, I could predict the next 8 months right now. What will happen? We'll finish second. We might win the Europa League. The only positive about thinking about the games against Granada is we cannot physically play that worse twice. So we can't physically play that bad again. So there has to be some sort of upside coming. And what will happen? We'll finish second. We might win the Europa League. Ollie will spend 50, 60, maybe 70 million in the summer. Ollie will be sat outside the top 4, sort of around Christmas time, not miles off, but sat just outside the top 4. We'll probably be out of the Champions League and in the Europa League, and Ollie will get the sack. That's exactly what will happen. It's what happened with Mourinho.
Rinse and repeat.
Yep, and it'll be the same cycle again. Then we'll go to another 2 years, get up to this point. Okay, we're coming close to second now. Same again. Won't back the manager, sack him, and move on. And about that comment, paying 40 million for a player that hasn't started, the player needs to be good enough. The player's been awful. Like, Donny van de Beek has been truly awful. Like I said it earlier on, I think he generally might be one of the most overrated signings that's ever come through the doors at Man United. Like,
it reeks of one Sebastian Veron, don't it? Like,
he does. He's awful. He doesn't do anything. Like, brilliant, great. He can stand. It's brilliant in the Eredivisie when you've got 25 yards of space either side to stand and wait for the ball to drop at your feet, to play a beautiful unpressured pass in behind or hit a shot or get an assist. But every time he's come on for Man United, he's stood still. He's not ran. He's misplaced passes. He's passed. He's not tracked back. He's not tracked his runner. He's not pressing. He's not doing anything. So, whilst I understand that obviously it's a weird amount of money to spend on maybe a position that we didn't need, once he's there, he needs to be good enough to merit playing. And he's not been. Like, he came on against Southampton. We were 4-0 up against Southampton. If you're ever going to get more of an open goal in the Premier League, you're against 10 men Southampton, you're 4-0 up. We went on to win the game 9-0. I couldn't have told you Donny was on the pitch for the next 5 goals. Was it 5-0 when he came on?
It was 4-5-0, and didn't Southampton go down to 9 men as well?
Yeah, they went down to 9. Yeah, and then we went on to score. But would you have known Donny van de Beek was on the pitch if you didn't know what he looked like? I wouldn't. I don't think he touched the ball, or if he did, he got it with the edge of the box and passed it away. If that's the player we're spending 40 million on, get rid of him. Go get Zambo Anguissa for 20 million out of Fulham. He'll do a better job than Donny van de Beek. He'll do a better defensive job than Donny van de Beek. We don't have to go and buy the premium. And I think a lot of managers get drawn in when they come into Man United that they want the premium. Just be smart. Like, have these top targets, but maybe instead of making your top target a £150 million signing, maybe have your top targets like 4 £30 million signings, and be a bit smart and accept that, okay, might not win the league next year, but if all these players work to their potential, we'll maybe win it in 2 years' time. But it just seems so short-sighted from anyone that comes into Man United. I understand that the Glazers run and they decide who comes in, but you said it when we were linked with Jerome Boateng. That made no sense. And the players that we're being linked with now they're at least matching a vision. Like Sancho, at least young, can build. Haaland, at least young and can build. Declan, right? Yeah. But like, I don't understand why it seems to be for so many Man United fans that it's Rice or bust, Sancho or bust, Haaland or bust. Why? Because we know we're not going to get to that level. We know we're not be able to get a player of that quality. And it's just so strange because I don't think Ollie, while we've improved on the pitch, I don't think we've improved tactically in 2 years. I think the level of player that we have on the pitch is better now, and maybe there's more of a system in place. But the fact we're conceding the same sort of goals, we're actually worse from set pieces now. And the fact that we can't beat a team with a low block, like, that's schoolboy stuff. If you can't beat a team with a low block, like, why are you a Man United manager if you don't expect teams to set up in a low block? Like, it's just, there's so many things wrong from this club to the core, and it obviously starts with the Glazers, but it goes all the way down, and it just felt like it just feels like all his time is now
like the shit just goes downhill. That's
but it's
the thing.
now ticking. It feels like the clock's now ticking on Ollie, and that's where, and he's the one that's gonna pay.
He's gonna pay the price.
He's the one that's going to probably end up getting sacked, and I reckon he'll probably be gone by Christmas, especially if he doesn't get the players in that he wants. We know the players he wants. He's not a chance is he going to get someone like that who he wants. We might get the Sancho deal done because we chased him for all of last summer. We might get him now because they want less money. So that might happen, but we won't go and get a Declan Rice. We won't go and get someone like that, even though that's what we need, because it's just not the way this sort of club operates. But I think some Man United fans need to take a step back and maybe not go like, oh, we need to get Declan Rice. Well, you don't, because there's players better than what we have just now.
It just goes back to what I said. Like, they need to wake up and smell the coffee. Like, that's the thing. I think there's so much wrong. It goes beyond the manager. It goes beyond that. Like, yes, the manager has his flaws tactically. We all know that. Like, it's not rocket science. Like, the manager does have his flaws tactically. And that's fair enough. Spurs are sixth in the table. They're gone above Liverpool. Yeah. Anyway, Liverpool are down to seventh where they belong. But but when you actually when you look at this, like there is massive problems with this football club. And I think, yes, we're in second. Yes, we're showing progress. That's all fine. We can sing that to the cows come home that we're second place in the league and we're making progress. But until that progress is built on, it's not going to change. Like, the model of this football club is now Champions League, get that commercial revenue from that, get your Champions League revenue, and then that's okay.
That's it.
So think about this as well, right? In a pandemic, when we get Champions League football and there's no fans in, like, we don't know what's going to happen. I know, like, in the UK anyway, right, the vaccine seems to be getting rolled out a lot quicker. Fans are probably going to be back in the stadiums probably by next season. Yeah. We're probably not going to see a big transfer window this summer. Let's, like, if anyone wants to be realistic, this isn't a game of FIFA. This isn't going to be like a 500 million takeover or 100 million extra pumped into the club because we need it. That's not the case. They, like, I don't know what to say. Like, people are, like, expecting us to go out and, as you said, buy a Haaland, buy a Sancho, buy Rice all in the same summer. Like, man, I don't know what you're smoking. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. No. At best, we'll get Sancho at 80, 90 million because that's what, Dortmund wanted. They lowered their price down from the 120 million pounds that they wanted from the summer. But you'd be looking at that. There's still players that's going to go. Like, United's net spend, and I'm going to call it right now because it's happened the last 6-7 years. United's net spend in the summer transfer window will be 50 million pounds because that's what it's been in that time frame. Like, if you look at United's net spend every summer, it's like 50, 60 million every summer. So when you consider this, it's not going to change.
Yeah, like, and the only positive that would be is if for some miraculous, you can afford to have a 50, 60 million pound sort of net spend if we're able to sell players like Martial, able to sell players like David De Gea, sell them and get a fee, then you can maybe look, because you would reckon you'd get between sort of 70 and 80 million for the both of them, like, combined. You would think. I reckon you probably get that. So if you were looking at that, you've made 80 million, but the fact that Man United in previous years, they haven't sold that big player. But
even Sanchez went for nothing, like.
Yeah, if we don't win this Europa League, Pogba's going. Pogba's not staying. Like, as much as Pogba can like Ollie and like Bruno and like playing there, he's a winner at the end of it. He's not going to stay. And I agree with Bob's what he said earlier on. I think Ollie's reached his ceiling now. And it might not be his fault, and it could all be down, but in terms of the coaching and in terms of what's going on at the pitch, the goals we're conceding, and the fact that we don't have plan Bs, I think he's maybe reached his ceiling now. That he's now getting to a stage where, like I said, the clock's sort of ticking on him. But I can see him being out of the job by Christmas, to be honest, because we all know what's going to happen if he gets that new contract. I thought that the new contract would have been like sort of performance based in terms of like if he got through these 2 games, then he'd be awarded with a new contract.
Oh, it's just if he gets top 4, man. If he gets top 4, not even second place, he gets top 4. That new contract is signed, sealed, and delivered. Like I think that's that's the thing. And look, it's disheartening to say the least, because I love him. The great manager. He's improved so many players at the club, like Luke Shaw, Rashford, and others like that. But when you actually when you break it down, they'll give him the new contract if he gets top 4, but they won't back him. And then, look, we'll slip out the top 4 again, and it'll just be another season of pain. And then we'll have to, we get a false rebuild for a couple of years and say there's progress, but then again, the same thing will happen under another manager, regardless of how tactically good or how tactically bad they are.
Yeah, and he's not what Man United, what you would class as sort of best in class, which is what Man United were really calling for after that Everton game that you mentioned a couple of years ago, was to get people in sort of best of class. Obviously, had the 2 new back office appointments, which are they're just titles, really, aren't they? That have been shifted across. It'll be interesting to see if they have any impact.
Fred Woodward, man. It's yes man Fred Woodward. Like, I don't see.
I would like to think Fletcher isn't. I would like to. Obviously, John Murtaugh's got his own opinions, and he's worked with Woodward and things like that for a long time. But I'd like to think Fletcher has a bit, because you hear him talk about the game and he knows the game, and he seems to be quite well regarded when people speak about him as a coach and things like that. So there's a reason he's put in that sort of technical. Yeah, absolutely. Liverpool went out, spent 100. Yeah, absolutely. But what I will say about Liverpool, and obviously this isn't a Liverpool pod or anything like that, but what I will say about Liverpool is they won't win the league again until they sell at least 2 of that big 3, because they operate at a profit. So, like, basically, for them to go and buy players of like
Liverpool won't win the league next season anyway.
Not at all. They need to make
Man City have a stranglehold in this league now.
Yeah, but that's how FSG work. FSG, the people that own Liverpool, that's how they operate. They need to make a profit every year. They don't take money actively out of the club like the Glazers do, but they want to continuously make a profit. So they don't want to be dipping into like excess revenue. They'll inject if they have to, obviously up in lines with financial fair play. But generally, what happens with Liverpool is their sellings and who they let go and who they sell tend to add up. Like that Liverpool team was built off the back of Coutinho.
Like Van Dijk and Alisson, sure. Coutinho paid for that. Do you know? So
yeah,
Liverpool didn't spend that. They just made a profit off a player. Like, you know, they didn't really spend that.
Yeah,
really.
Fair play to them. Absolutely, fair play to them. They spent it well, but in terms of that's just not the way Man United are going to work. Like, Man United don't have a player that's going to fetch them £100 million.
Well, Pogba would, but like
Pogba would, but not in a pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. But that's neither here or there. But look, I suppose since this is the review of the game, I know, like, look, we've kind of gone in on the Glazers, and that's because it always seems to happen when you think long term, and this is what happens with the football club. And look, I've been streaming since 3:20 today. I've been on my own show twice now.
Long day.
I've been on Bits and Bob's channel. I've been on Adam's channel. I was on a Leicester channel. So, like, literally, I've been all over the shop today. So I suppose, look, we'll get to our final part of the show.
Yeah.
Today, in terms of we'll do some player ratings, and this should be absolutely sadistic. Right, we'll start from the top. Goalkeeper Dean Henderson.
3.
I'll be honest. I'm going to give Dean Henderson a 5. Only reason being, none of the goals were really his fault. Distribution was a bit poor today, but
yeah,
I don't think he was probably our worst performer. I give him a generous 5.
Yeah.
He wasn't our worst player. I give him a 5. Just on the basis he's been so good the last couple of weeks, and he was let down by his midfield and the defence today. So I'll give him a 5. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, right back.
Probably the same, probably 3. Didn't do anything spectacular. He was actively out of position far too many times. Didn't track his man. It seems like the same conversation we have all the time when Wan-Bissaka has a poor game. He's just not improving in that aspect of things. Maybe a 4. Maybe that's harsh. Maybe a 4, because again, he wasn't actively involved in any of the goals that went wrong or things that went wrong with the goals.
I give him a 4 as well. I think a couple of times he tried to go forward, he tried to come in field, he tried to make things happen, but he's just not capable of it, is he? And
he's so limited on the ball, it shouldn't be his job.
Yeah, he was trying to do it when he's not capable of it. And I think look, for that, I commend him. I commend him for that. But look, he didn't do anything spectacular. So, I give him a 4 out of 10. But look, it's not his fault. He has his limitations. Centre backs, Harry Maguire. Firstly,
that pass to Fred was a hospital pass. Like, why is he not passing that out to the fullback? I'm going to say 3 for Maguire. Thought he was awful. It looked like Maguire from the start of the season after he came back from Greece. He looked rattled every time he got the ball. Didn't look like he could place a pass. Was bullied by Iheanacho generally throughout the day. I'll say 3.
I'm going to give him a 2. I thought he was absolutely horrible. I thought Maguire was brutal today. And to be honest, anyone who watched his podcast, I was actually on the London Lowdown podcast 2 weeks ago. And I talked about Manchester. I brought up this point about because obviously Arsenal. We're talking about the Arsenal game about Granit Xhaka and that whole instant, when that thing happened. And I was like, why are teams? And I mentioned United in this point. I was like, teams have this obsession with trying to play through a press. Why don't you play over the press? Why don't you use your fullbacks? If you're not you have a midfielder who isn't confident on the ball in Fred. So why in God's name when he's getting pressed by a striker who has pace and Iheanacho to play him the ball? It's mental.
It should be Matic shown for the ball as well. Matic is a senior player, should be shown for the ball there.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So look, for me, I'll go him a 2. He's poor in the opposition box too, useless as well. So I give him a 2. Victor Lindelof,
I think a 4 for Lindelof. Probably, apart from Telles, was probably our best player, I think. Got in the way a lot, headed the ball clear, stopped attacks early when balls went into the box. In early doors, he started off really well, but then he just sort of faded into the background as goals sort of flew in. It seems to be always him that's getting run at, but I think that's because we lose the ball so much on the right-hand side from Fred that it's always him that's getting run at and looks really uncomfortable, but I don't think he was that bad, so I'll say a 4.
Yeah, 4. I think I'll give him a 3. And look, if I give him Maguire 2, I can't give Lindelof too much more because I think he did okay in certain parts, but he's just as culpable for the goals as well because he's at the back. So I'm going to give him a 3 because he wasn't as bad as Maguire, but he wasn't too far off, to be brutally honest. In that regard, Alex Telles at left back,
a 5 probably. Telles played the best of them. You wouldn't say it was a good performance, but he tried, and for someone that's not played that much football, he showed a lot of attacking impetus when he got the ball. He showed a lot for the ball, wanted the ball a lot to sort of take pressure off Maguire. I'll say a 5.
5, I'd give him a 6. Thought it was an average performance, but an average performance in this team today actually looked good. And that's how bad we were.
Superstar.
Yeah, I thought going forward he was actually okay. He tried to get forward. I think defensively he actually made a decent few interceptions today. I think a couple of interceptions he made, if he didn't make them, it could have been a lot worse. So in that regard, I'm going to give him a 6, an average 6, which is probably the best rating I'm going to give today. I'm going to be honest.
The best I'm giving. Yeah,
he's not my man of the match, but in that regard, I give him a 6 just on the basis that he didn't do too much wrong or too much right, but he done okay. So I'll give him a 6. Two holding midfield players, Matic and Fred. I'm going to go Fred first. What are you giving him?
0.5. 0.5. In the terms that he managed to dress himself, he got the 0.5. He got the 0.5 because he managed to dress himself and get on the pitch. And he did what Fred always does. He runs around a lot and he pressed a lot and really did try, but he's just not good enough. And that doesn't, like I said earlier on, it does not merit any sort of personal abuse or anything like that he's getting.
Yeah, what he got online was disgraceful. That was disgraceful.
Absolutely. There's a difference between having an opinion against a footballer and then showing it in a way that's immature and disgusting like that. But he was awful today, and he'll know that. That's the thing. He's a footballer. He'll know he's had a bad game, but both of the midfielders for me are getting the same rating. So I'm going to say 0.5 because they were atrocious. They were the reason we lost the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm giving them a 0.
0. Yeah, Matic the same. Matic, I said that was obviously part of our discussion on the pre-match show. I said Matic shouldn't play. He's done. He's leggy, and he proved all of that in that second goal. For some reason, but he gets all this praise about being tactically aware and he can play older because he's smarter. He came out of they were attacking. He ran 20 yards forward out of position, left a big gap in behind. He then left his pal Fred up the river, who had to then run across to try and make the tackle, and Fred just wasn't quick enough. And then all that was left was Matic jogging back because he was far too slow. Like, everything that I thought was going to happen when Matic played in that midfield today happened. And okay, he's had a great career. He's been brilliant, but he's too old. He's past it. He's gone. His legs are gone completely. Like, he should not play again this season. I don't care who the options are. Play De Gea in midfield over him. Because he's done. He's absolutely done.
Oh, man. I'm going to give him a 0 as well. Look, I think if I'm giving Fred a 0, I have to give Matic a 0. I think, look, both of them are equally as poor today. Both very, very bad. Got dominated in midfield. And they were just, look, for me, I'm going to give Nemanja Matic a 0. I'm not going to give him anymore. Number 10, Donny van de Beek. What are you saying?
1. He was better than Matic and Fred, but only just. He got in the way more than he actually helped our play. And like I said, I've said it twice now, I think he's the most overrated signing I've ever seen coming to Man United. People need to stop resting on their laurels that he had a few great games against Real Madrid 2 years ago in a different team, in a different system, playing in a different position. He's now at the biggest football club in the world and he can't string a decent game. He couldn't even string a pass together today. No one's asking him to be Bruno. No one's expecting him to come in and get 10 goals and 10 assists. But work hard, pass the ball to players in red and not actively get in the way, because that's all he did today. He got in the way. Apart from his little dummy, which brilliant, he was for once in the right position to do something with that great football mind that he's got. That's it. He gets a 1. He was awful.
I don't think he was as bad as a 1. I really don't. I think he wasn't our worst player, and I give him a 4 because obviously what he done in that moment for the goal, and there was times he did win the ball back, something that Fred didn't do. There's something that Fred didn't do in that midfield today. Like, he did track back. There was points in the game where he did win the ball back. Didn't do too much after that, but he did win the ball back. And he did show application at certain points during the game. So I give him a 4 just based off that. Right midfield, Mason Greenwood.
I always feel harsh rating Greenwood because he's so young. He's playing out of position as well. And I just think he's... One thing that annoys me about he's naive. He doesn't... He especially there was an instance where he got down the left flank when him and Pogba swapped and he just drilled it across the box and all he had to do was cut it back. And it's just that naivety and he's a bit young. So I'm going to give him a 4. He wasn't good at all, but he's playing out of position and he's so young in that Man United team and he shouldn't be relied on when there's senior members in that team to help him out. I'll say a 4 for Greenwood.
Yeah, I'm going to give Greenwood a 6. I'm probably going to give him, I'm probably going to give him our man of the match just simply because he scored a goal. That's... Yeah. I think Greenwood was 6 today, just because he scored a goal and he took his chance very well. And that's the Greenwood we'd like to see. And I said it on the show live when I was on the watch long. You're okay? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, yeah. I give him a 6 because he took his chance very well.
Yep.
I think he was let down again today by obviously the service he got. So I think he 6, just because he scored. Paul Pogba.
So I thought my highest rating was going to be a 5. It's probably going to go to Pogba and be a 6. Like, for how good he was on for 60 minutes. He was really good. He was the pillar in midfield. He was exactly what he was when he came on against AC Milan through the week. Got a really good assist by turning the centre back inside out. Got the ball in really well, and generally just played well. But look, there was no one around him. Like, that's when you expect Van de Beek to really come in and thrive, especially because he's playing with Paul Pogba there. You've got a World Cup winner there. And people can argue like that Van de Beek's not played. He's always got to play rubbish minutes with rotation players. He's in there with a World Cup winner. So yeah, I think Pogba probably played a 6 today. To play 60 minutes doing two people's job is a hard shift. So he did well.
Yeah, I'll give Paul Pogba a 6 today as well. Look, I think he was knackered towards the end of that game. Look, I kind of, when I seen him come off on the watch along, it's like, shit, why is he coming off? But when you consider he's been out for the last 6 to 8 weeks. And all he actually said in the press conference on Friday that he wasn't fit to start the game. So again, you'd call that into question. Why the fuck did he play 60 minutes then? Do you know? But look, I'm not going to drive that because people will twist my words and say I'm Ollie out, but I'm not. Look, it just boggles the mind if you make a statement like that, then you play a player for 60 minutes. Yeah, you know.
Use your brain.
Say there. It's a bit naive. Like, that's naivety. Like, I think if anything, you start Bruno and then you play Pogba then for the last half an hour. Do you know, if he's not fit? But look, again, the mind boggles sometimes.
No point trying to work out what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer means in his.
Yeah, look, I gave up on that a long time ago in terms of trying to read his mind. I gave up months ago. Yeah. Striker Anthony Martial.
1 awful. He can leave. He can go. See if it came out tomorrow that his contract had been terminated. I wouldn't cry. I honestly wouldn't care. He doesn't want to play for this club anymore. He doesn't run about. He walks. He jogs. He didn't give the Leicester defenders anything to think about. I would honestly personally drive him to wherever he get transferred to in the summer. He is atrocious. Since Cavani has come in, he's just down tools. He can't be bothered anymore. He doesn't want to run, doesn't want to play. Fine, go and play somewhere else then. Because he seems to be quite happy to just sit and cash his check and be Man United's backup. But what he did today was horrible. He was one of the worst players. Like I said, he's saved by Van de Beek, Matic and Fred. But that whole core was awful. But yeah, Martial gets a 1.
I'm going to give Martial a 2. Yeah, he wasn't our worst player, but he by no means was he near any of our best players. And I said he's saved by the other players playing so badly. The subs, I'm going to go quickly on the subs. I think I'm going to go Luke Shaw, Bruno, and Luke Shaw and Bruno. I'm going to both give them a 5. I think they were good when they came on. Didn't do anything spectacular, but I thought they gave us a bit more. Scott McTominay, I'm going to give him a 4 because he got booked, and I thought he was kind of rash. Cavani, I'm going to give a 2 because he done nothing. He didn't do anything, and he was on level par march. He tried to press, but he done nothing for me.
Yeah, I just that's what annoyed me so much.
I give Cavani a 3 because he actually probably done more pressing in that couple of minutes than what Martial done all game.
Did. Honestly, I think the stewards picking up the balls and putting them back on the cones moved more than Martial did today. He is one. I've never seen a drop in form like that compared to this, like, end of last season to this season. Like, he's just
it's almost like nearly worse than what Alexis Sanchez was when he came to the club. This drop in form.
Yeah, he's not even running. Like I said earlier on, and it was like Bruno came on and it was genuinely like a teacher walking into a classroom. You know, when you're messing about in school and a teacher comes in, you suddenly have to sit and do all your work. Like, that's generally what it was like when Bruno came on, because Bruno came on and everyone started to press. And it wasn't Bruno leading the press. It was Bruno in the middle shouting at people, telling them to press. Why do we need a signing that's been there for a year to come on and tell senior footballers to press the football at 3-1 down? Like, it calls into question sort of the characters and things you've got in a dressing room. If someone that's been there a year,
said, like, he's a leader. Like, look, I've said this. Like, he's what Bruno's done in 12 months for Manchester United has been nothing short of remarkable, and He's been class. But look,
yep.
I wouldn't blame him one bit, along with Pogba. If we don't win that in this season and we don't show ambition in the transfer market,
yeah,
I wouldn't blame the two of them if they left the football club. I would not blame the two of them. I really wouldn't.
You couldn't. I don't think Bruno will this year. I think Bruno will give us another couple of years at least.
I think he gives us another year.
I think he gives us 2. I think this is his. I feel like the impression that I get from Bruno is that Man United was his move that he wanted, because he never thought. So a lot of the time, sort of when we sign players that are quite young and have that sort of superstar potential, or we have done in the past. Obviously, when we signed Ronaldo and things like that, Ronaldo people knew from quite a young age how good Ronaldo was going to be. So he always had that dream move of obviously moving on from there. But I feel like because Bruno, where he's been, the fact he's been out on loan to Italy twice, he's then gone back to Portugal, worked hard. I feel like Man United was his big move. That's why I think he'd give us another couple of years at least. But yeah, you wouldn't blame them, would you, for leaving, especially if that's the performance. Like, I just wish I was inside that. What are they thinking, those two players like Pogba and Fernandes, coming off a performance like that? Like, Bruno came on and just ran about, and he was still better than 3/4 of our team. And he nearly scored a free kick. Imagine if that was 2-1 and that free kick had went in. We generally might have got to penalties or something and scraped a win. Could you imagine that? Like,
imagine what I'd be like right now if we won to get this game on penalties.
I would just, but like, imagine, like, Bruno saved us so many times this season, and Rashford's done the same. But we need to start. There needs to be players in that team that just start to actually show that they're worth keeping, because there's a lot of passengers right now. Fred and Matic aside, because I just simply don't think they're good enough. But that's obviously to do with age and probably to do with the position that Fred's playing. I'm sure Fred would be. There must be a system where Fred will thrive, because he thrived at Shakhtar, and there was a reason Man City were interested. He's probably not a defensive midfielder. Where that is, I'm not 100% sure. I'm
bench.
Yeah, if he's a rotation option, he's a rotation option. But at least there'd be some sort of depth there as well. But there's so many things wrong with this team, and it was all brought to the fore this afternoon. And Ollie to just laugh it off, sort of almost like he did, was infuriating to say the least.
Yeah, look, I love him, but when I seen that laughing, man, it made me feel like crying. It really did.
You're just like, yes, you're meant to care about this club. If you cared about this club, you'd come out and say we were awful. Luke Shaw the other night
after the AC Milan game. Alex laughing like that, man. Like,
well, Luke Shaw after the AC Milan game came out and was like, "Yeah, we weren't good at all." 10 minutes after, Ollie came out and was like, "Oh, we got the job done. We played well. We controlled the game." Shaw came out and was like, "We were awful. We were really bad. We couldn't get a foot on the ball. Pogba came on, scored the goal, but we're through. It doesn't matter." Like, if the players in the team know that, what are they thinking when the manager goes out and says, "Oh, we just lacked that spark"? We lacked everything today, front to back. We were awful, and second best. And credit to Leicester. And Leicester have got a very good chance going on and winning that FA Cup, because they'll go on and face Southampton, who they should beat, and then it's a one-off tie. So who knows what happens? You might beat Man City or something like that in a final. You never know.
I have the mic up now because I am literally praying. I am begging Leicester City. I'm begging Chelsea. I'm begging Southampton. You better beat them blue bastards. Stop them winning that fucking treble. That's all I'm going to say about that. But on that note, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, last rating of the night. What do you give Ollie today?
0. You got it. Everything wrong from the selection. Obviously, the Paul Pogba suggesting that he maybe isn't fit to start, then playing him 60 minutes. He started Matic, where there was a lot of fans that could have seen Matic was going to be dominating that midfield battle. Tellez was a pretty decent thing. But even then, so even if he got into halftime at 1-1 and changed it then you can maybe give Ollie a better rating, but he didn't. He waited till we were 2-1 down to make the changes. The changes that he made were 4 like-for-like substitutions. The 4 like-for-like substitutions came on and slotted back into the background of Leicester dominating Man United. It doesn't matter how good your players are that you bring on, if you're not changing the system to make the other defenders think because they're dominating the system, you're going to lose games of football. And if people that aren't involved in football can see that, surely people at the game and coaches and things like that can see that, because we play the same 2 formations every single game, it seems like, and make the same changes all the time. It's generally like someone playing FIFA career mode.
Yeah, like I think just on the basis, right? Like I'm going to give him. I don't want to give him a 0. I don't want to give him a 0.
Give him a 1.
I'm going to give him a 1 just off the basis that I'm really clutching here. I'll give him a 1 just off the base that Tella's played well, and
did play well,
and we didn't wear the zebra kit today, so I
like the zebra kit. I wish you wear the zebra kit all the time.
Yeah,
I like the zebra kit. I genuinely like it. I might buy it. If we make the Europa League final, I'll buy the zebra kit.
If we get to the Europa League final, right, we'll both wear the we'll both buy the zebra kits, right? I'm saying this now, right? Because we're live now and we're just wrapped up here. But if we do get to the final, we'll both buy the zebra kit. I'll get Maguire on the back. You get Lindelof.
Yeah, I like that. I like Lindelof. I'll take that. That's
what I'm saying. Because I don't rate either. So this is what I'm saying. Like,
could you imagine Granada watching that? Because Granada would be watching that performance night and thinking, well, this will be easy. Set up deep. They won't break us down. Hit them on the counter. Wait for them to make their 4 like-for-like change or their 3 like-for-like changes and beat them. Like, I
still think we'll beat Granada. I think when you play, like, I think Pogba Fernandes and all that be like fully fit by then. Cavani hopefully has a couple of games under his belt. I think we'll have enough to beat him. But
yeah,
maybe that's just me wanting to be positive because I always want to be.
Well, yeah, positives are we don't have to deal with Man United for another 2 weeks. We've got international football now. We've got the joys of Scotland and Ireland. We'll be fine. I get to watch Scott McTominay again, which I'm so excited to do. I love McTominay, but my word, he was dire.
You've just reminded me that I have to watch Ireland for 2 weeks, man.
Yeah. Well, Scotland have their best of 23 series against Israel to continue, so I think we're about 11-9 up or something. I don't know. But yeah, that'll be fun. So there's no more Man United for 2 weeks, which is fine. So hopefully they come back refreshed. Maybe Ollie will go on a crash course of coaching. Don't know. Maybe. Never know.
Yeah, we'll see. But look, thanks very much, Greg, for coming on this evening. I was actually going to do this review on my own, which could have went real south because I probably would have broke down. Thanks very much for coming on today. Thanks to the people getting in the comments as well. I'd say people are on YouTube who are watching all these all the fan channels, and every fan channel today are probably sick to the teeth to see my face across all of them today. I've literally been streaming the last 7 hours. I think I was meant to go on Twitch literally now in about half an hour and stream FIFA. I don't think that's happening now. I think I'm going to
go for a sleep.
I'm going to order a takeaway now.
Good idea.
And hopefully just that'll help drown my sorrows because it's either that or the off license is closed in 5 minutes, so I'm not going to make it to the offie to get a drink. So it's probably going to be a takeaway. It's going to substitute the alcohol tonight. But
fair enough.
Thanks very much, Greg, for coming on. Thanks to the people who are watching or still watching right now. Obviously, like the video and share it on your Facebook or Twitter or whatever kind of social media platform you're on. If you're not subscribed already, do subscribe to the Weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. I'm off work all this week, so I'm going to be doing all different types of content this week. I'm going to be covering the international break, not just Ireland. I'll be covering England stuff as well because I know we have a lot of UK-based viewers.
If you want to hear about Scotland, I
will cover a bit of Scotland. Cover a bit of Wales because Daniel James will be on international duty as well.
He will indeed.
I will. Jeez, my voice nearly going after talking for 7 hours. I'll also be doing kind of different types of shows this week. I'm going to do a transfer show this week. I'm going to get a guest on this week too. I have a guest locked in this week, so we're going to do a one-to-one podcast as well. So, look, there's a bit coming this week. So do tune in, do subscribe, do tell your friends. There's a very good channel, a lot of good people here. Obviously, I do appreciate everyone that comes on. And as always, the London Lowdown show will be back this week. Sean is going to be doing an overall assessment on Chelsea as well this week on the channel. He's going to do a show as well this week, so I'll be in contact with Sean tonight, and we'll do a show. Also, Three Devils and Lagooners also back tomorrow. So Jesus Christ, we actually have a lot of content this week every day. So if you haven't subscribed and you want to be kept up to date with all different types of football shows, you know where to go. This is the channel. This is where it's at. So absolutely. So look, again, my voice is gone. Thanks very much to everyone for watching today. It's been a long day streaming. It's been a long day as a Manchester United fan. Let's hope this international break. Let's hope this international break is a quick one. Let's get back to.
Yeah.
Let's hope this international break is a quick one, and let's hope we can come back. Let's bounce back in the Premier League. 2 very big Premier League games coming up against Spurs and Brighton. I want revenge in that Spurs game, and we have Granada in Europa League. So let's hope we can bounce back. But other than that, guys, thanks very much for sticking with us for the last hour and 15. And as always, we'll see you next time.